Welcome to Slasher Sunday. So I thought it was high time I finally did a spoiler discussion on Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre origin story, directed by the guys who directed The Deep House, as well as Aisha Kandisha. So we just watched those, and we enjoyed them a lot. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'll go back. I'll give this another chance because I didn't like it the first time. And she hadn't seen it. So I was like, all right, perfect. I need a Slasher Sunday. This will work. Well, let's do it. So I threw it back on. And what did you think?
I wasn't really a fan.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of kind of plot points that don't really make sense, and there's definitely not enough gore for me for a Texas Chainsaw movie.
To be fair, the original has none.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was expecting this to be much more gory. For sure.
Especially from the directors it's coming from. It's shocking to me that there's almost zero.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that could have helped the movie.
Disappointed.
That could have helped the movie tremendously.
I think it would have made it better. I don't know about tremendously, but it depends. I guess it depends on what.
It would have made it great.
Yeah.
But if it was fucking balls so all insane, graphically gory, I would have been like, all right, that
at least it's got this
is something to report back on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably like this less than I did the first time. I don't really like much about it. It has its fans, but mostly people don't like it. And I can see why, going back and rewatching this. But let's start from the beginning here. So, you always know when that you're in trouble when the quotes that they put on the boxes, like, keeps the legend alive, comes from John Higgins of Starburst magazine.
Starburst? Like the candy?
I don't know, but when you have to start quoting random shit, best Texas Chainsaw film since the original, says Jerry Smith of ComingSoon.net.
That's fake. That's not a real thing. ComingSoon.net?
It's probably a real thing.
It's not a real thing. That sounds so fake.
He is Jay Smith, though, so he's got to be slightly cool. Alright, so we have got some familiar faces in this movie. You've got Lily Taylor and you've got Stephen Dorff. There's supposedly Nubbins is in here, but I didn't look. I was gonna do it right before we press record, but I forgot, and then we kind of already were in the middle of it now, and I was like, oh yeah, Nubbins thing. I saw it when I was looking through the cast listings, and Nubbins is the dead body that they're carrying around with them in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I don't know if that's the body that they find in the trailer, or if it's another character. It's probably another family member. That would make sense. I would assume that it's just another family member, one of the younger kids or something, and they mentioned his name. I just didn't hear it. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. But I saw it there, and I was like, oh, that would have been cool. I would have liked to have seen him drawn more attention to, just for that connection. There's homages and some connections to the original here. One of them being the light bulb flash sound that's from the opening of the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre when they're taking pictures of the crime scene at the diner. You've got Grandpa, who's the one-hit killer in this. He hits the dude over the head with the hammer one time and immediately kills him, and he winks. They're callbacks. There's things here that do match up with the 73 film, but I don't know, man. It really just, I don't know. There's so many bad decisions here for me. I feel like they tried so hard to do this gotcha twist?
It was very obvious, though. Like, I don't think I said anything to you until it was like, oh, yeah, like, it's gonna be this. But the entire time, I was thinking that that's kind of what was going to happen.
I just thought he was gonna be maybe the hitchhiker, but I was like, where's his fucking birthmark?
No. Yeah, I thought that that's what the twist was gonna be.
Where is the hitchhiker anyway in this?
Anyway, but I think it's predictable, but that they're sort of trying to be, not unique, but sneaky about it or something, and I just didn't really feel like that came through very well.
Oh, sure.
So,
sure. That's supposed to be some big, like, oh shit,
oh my
twist.
God, it's that. It's him.
I would have much preferred them to stick with that it's Bud.
Absolutely. I was, like, enjoying thinking that it was him for a bit, because I think that Leatherface... Like, I think he works, like, we've talked about this, where it's like he's somewhat sympathetic to me in the sense that if he's, like, mentally handicapped and, is a part of this family and they're kind of, like, forcing him to do these awful things, like, I feel bad for him because it's more of him being a victim, who becomes, obviously, a killer. But I like that angle with him. I think it makes him a little bit more sympathetic in certain ways, and... With this, I don't know. The end, I was very not sold on his breakdown, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
This makes him way less sympathetic.
It makes him way less sympathetic, and it just doesn't make sense to me, like how fast he switches.
Well, he's like a totally normal guy. I mean,
yes.
He's a little off, but like he's not mentally handicapped.
No. And that's what he ends up acting like. And I was trying to think, like, okay, so his face gets shot.
Right. So maybe...
Did something hit his brain?
Right. And I thought that's
something.
definitely what happened there, too. Is that, maybe something that happened to his brain that he was so mentally inept.
I feel like that's the only explanation, because prior to that, But it didn't. It cuts his face. It doesn't cut, like, in his head or anything. So...
No.
I don't know. I don't get why he's, like, suddenly slow. And...
No clue. Bud is Leatherface in this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's this big, overweight lug who lashes out irrationally.
Yes.
And, even protects women, almost like he does with Stretch in part 2. It's like, I don't know. The twist, I feel like, even though you can sort of see it, it's like, it's almost like they thought of it, like, halfway through.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if everyone just thought this was him and then we just flipped it? And they're like, well, how does that make sense? I'm like, well, we'll have him shot through the face and, he'll put on a leather mask and that'll...
But it still doesn't make sense. I mean, just because of, like, the stature of Bud also matches, like you said, like, he's overweight. Like, everything about him is Leatherface, like a big, bulking guy. And Jackson, or Jed... is
nothing like
not like that at all. No.
Right. Even if you put on weight, he doesn't have the frame.
Not
he
at
doesn't
all.
have the body. Yeah, no, that's super, super silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they play with this whole idea. They get taken. 10 years later, we come back to them. Of course, you're led to believe that this is Leatherface, but I don't see the point in the, like, flip.
I don't know.
Like the whole twist. I don't... Like, it's supposed to land this, like, oh my God.
It doesn't.
It doesn't at all, but,
doesn't.
like, I don't even see why bother doing it. It just seems so odd to me to bother with that.
The whole movie could have been done with Bud being Leatherface and Jackson being shot, and that making, Bud freak out even more because that's his friend.
Sure.
And, he already had this thing, like you said, with protecting women and protecting the nurse protagonist. And, like, all of that, I think, could have played out the exact same way, but with Bud instead of Jackson.
There's some cool shots going on in this movie. You've got the kid hiding in the animal body, which she ends up doing later in the movie as well. The one when he's a kid and he has, like, the cow head on and all that is really cool imagery. Mm-hmm. The one later on is... pure nonsense. Mm-hmm. Bud is like 300 pounds alone. He wouldn't fit in there by himself.
No.
let alone 2 other people with enough room to not make the animal look like it's holding 3 people.
Yeah.
But also that they could all breathe.
Yeah.
And just, that is so dumb. Like, they walk past it and it just looks like a regular animal.
Yeah.
And it really hasn't even been all that torn up. So the insides are still intact. Like, how big is it? Is this a fucking elephant? Like, what kind of animal was this that could house 3 humans, one of which is the size of 2 humans?
Right. It doesn't make sense logistically that they would all fit in there. And it also just seems, I mean, I get why they did it. It's like to hide and to disguise their scent from the dogs.
She could hide in
She could hide in there.
And that's it.
Yes. But the 3 of them together.
It was like a fucking clown car. That's what it looked like.
Came
They just
out,
kept, yeah.
And the bud.
I expected the sheriff to come out of there. I expected fucking Lily Taylor's character.
Yeah.
Verna.
Coming out.
I expected like half of the inmates from the insane asylum to start coming out of there.
Here too.
Then just random characters from other movies coming out of there. Like, where am I?
Where am I?
Yeah. So, all right, we've got Drayton Sawyer in here, and he's pretty jacked. He's pretty, you know, he really lets himself go in his later life. And we've got the doc who won't let this girl see her kid, and I'm 1,000% on his side. It's funny, like, the doc is played like an asshole, and the Sheriff Hartman is played like an asshole, and like, I'm 100% on both their sides. You know, and the doc is like, yeah, I'm going to have you get more paperwork, and it's going to take 3 more months, and well, oops, too bad. Like, you're a total piece of shit who clearly was murdering people.
Right.
And your son is here because of that. You know, I'm not letting you see your child. Now, is he a good doctor? Is he taking good care of these patients? No.
Clearly not.
I mean, he's the shock therapy. He's a dick.
Yes.
But I'm in agreement with him that she should be nowhere near these children. His death is one of the betters of the film, like his head getting smashed into the glass, and then we kind of see his head is like laying on glass. But man, the kills in this movie are so fucking weak. Like, it really is just terrible. And I think something I said in my last review of this, everything's trying really hard to be zany and over the top and like crazy. Like when the couple is like having sex in the middle of a prison riot, and then they have sex on top of a dead body, where they're licking inside his mouth and all of that. And you know, I know that grossed you out, but like, I don't know, it doesn't feel crazy in an organic way.
No, I agree with you. I think the movie in general feels forced.
Yes.
And it's not so much that the dialogue is unnatural or that anything like that is weird, but just the characters.
I actually think all the acting is pretty good.
Yeah, all the acting is fine. I don't really have a problem with it, but there's something about like just how hard it's trying to be, like you said, zany and crazy, that just like you can tell that that's kind of what the intention is. And it takes you out of the movie for sure. I mean, that scene where they're having sex and she's like licking the corpse was disgusting for sure. Like, I was really grossed out by that. But yeah, I don't know, those characters, like everything they did was just a caricature, and not even just like, oh, they're crazy. It's just like, what do crazy people do? Like, let's make them do that.
That chick has some jealousy issues.
Yeah. She was really, like, you had to bring the pretty nurse.
And I think that, like, Jackson, like, there's so many outs for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know, Lizzie, the nurse, she has so many opportunities to escape in this.
Yes. In
the diner, when she's with fucking 20 people who are around her and she's nowhere near her captors. You know, if she just yelled out, "Help me," they would have stopped them. That many people, I mean, yeah, she stabs some dude in the throat, then takes the gun and starts shooting people. Before that, she doesn't have a gun. You know, like if she yelled out like I need help, these guys couldn't have taken out an entire diner at that point.
Especially the guy with the gun.
And there was a guy with a gun at the bar
yes.
who would have definitely taken over. And this is Texas.
Probably everybody
had a gun. He pulls it up and he's like, I love Texas. And
yeah.
there's a shotgun behind the counter and everything. Like, she could have got away there. She could have got away multiple times when the cops were there. The cops were like right in front of her, the sheriff and everyone else.
We were so confused about why when the sheriff kills the crazy girl.
Yeah.
Like why she wouldn't run directly towards them because she's clearly being kidnapped and is a nurse. But then, so she decides not to do that. And right after they get out of the cow, she runs towards a cop.
Runs towards a different cop.
It makes no sense.
The only thing that I even said in that was that she thinks the sheriff is crazy.
Yeah.
And Jackson has convinced her potentially that the sheriff is not to be trusted, but maybe other cops are. That's all I got on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly to me. And, I mean, I guess it does kind of make sense to a degree in the end because he does kind of fucking go crazy and he takes her hostage and then he apologizes to her because he kind of comes out of his frenzy and he's like, I don't know what I would have done to you. So it's very possible he did shoot her, but I just don't feel like she would know that or think that. I just feel like there's a good amount of opportunities for her to get lost and leave. And then even Jackson himself has these opportunities where, this jealous crazy girl who with the burned body and everything, she is crazy about this guy and she doesn't want him even looking at this other girl. Jackson was like, he was trying to rape her. He was trying to fuck her. He was trying to take out her tits or get her naked or something. She would have fucking lost her mind on him.
Yes. And
that would have been an opportunity to escape. I mean, just poor decisions absolutely everywhere in this. And the burn girl and her little boyfriend kind of ish reminded me of like a knockoff Mickey and Mallory Knox from the Natural Born Killers, especially with the the diner massacre like they do in the opening of Natural Born Killers. But Natural Born Killers genuinely feels insane when you're watching it. It feels like it feels like you're like in the mind of a serial killer when you watch it. Just everything is chaos and this vivid, wild, crazy imagery. And you've never seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's phenomenal. We'll have to watch it at some point. But I mean, that was directed by freaking Oliver Stone and written by Quentin Tarantino. So I mean, obviously much higher caliber of filmmakers there. And they, let's see. It's kind of a shame because I don't really have a ton more to say about this film. I'll tell you this right now. There's no way they survived that car crash.
Yeah.
With no seatbelts in an old fucking 60s car like that. No way.
Yeah.
No way. I mean, that's stupid stuff. I don't care about that. Sure. It happens in all sorts of movies. And them hiding inside an animal, stuff like that. If those were the worst offenses, I wouldn't be sitting here shitting on it.
Right.
The kills are lame. I think the characters' decisions are stupid. I think the decision for the twist is dumb and doesn't work. I think it just, and then Verna has like a cop paid off.
Oh yeah.
And then they kill him for like no reason at all.
Right.
Like why would they cut off their connection to the police? Like they have a cop paid off who's there to help them because she marries into money, although she's still living on this shit farm because she doesn't want to leave it. It's her home, right, or whatever. I don't know what the money thing. Like, did he die? I didn't get that idea.
I assumed that he was dead.
Him.
Yeah, that she killed him and got his money. But the whole
they don't seem like they have all that much money. And
they don't.
Like what? The next one's in the early 70s. This is 65. So Bud, or I'm sorry, Jackson, within 9 years, less than 10 years, is Leatherface.
Yeah.
So as we see him. So less than a decade. Verna's gone, potentially. Grandma, who's upstairs dead, and grandpa, the older ones, the great grandma and grandpa are up in the attic. I don't know where they're at. Grandpa is old as fuck. Drayton's there. The hitchhiker must be someone else. I don't know. And then, are we counting 2 as canon to 1? I don't know. So where is Chop Top? Like any of this stuff, I don't know. It would have been cool to see Chop Top. Like if I made a prequel to this, it would have had the hitchhiker. It would have had Chop Top. It would have had all the heavy hitters of the series, and they would have all been just lunatics killing people. And I wouldn't have tried to pull off some twist where like the handsome, well-spoken guy
is
Leatherface all of a sudden.
Yeah,
like,
that's...
what choice is this?
I don't know. It's pretty pointless.
The chainsaw in the sheriff's stomach, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
I
okay.
would have much rather seen...
you and I could reproduce that.
Yeah, but I was actually wanting the curb stomp of the crazy guy.
Yeah.
Like, that was what I wanted to be graphic, and there was nothing.
And even when they show his face, it's just blood on his face.
Yeah.
His face is... They put enough blood where Kaylee kind of got...
I thought his jaw was missing, and then
and I rewound it and paused it, like, nope.
It's just blood.
It's just blood on his face. His fucking face is totally fine.
Boo.
Yeah, super boo.
No gore.
Super boo. In a movie like this, come on, man. Yeah, don't call Jackson's mom crazy. Get your head chopped off.
Yeah, I don't get it. I just feel like his, like, going crazy was so fast, and it makes no sense at all. It would have made so much more sense for Bud to be Leatherface, because at least I could understand him being manipulated. But with Jackson, it's like, you're smart. What the hell? Like, come on, dude. You liked this girl.
I did like the look of the mask he makes out of the sheriff and Liz, right? Lizzie's face. I thought that mask was cool. I wish I would have got to see it more and on him as he was like killing people.
Yeah.
But no, I guess that's his mask later. I don't know.
Yeah, there was like a couple shots of it that were from small angles, so that was a disappointment too. But
yeah,
not a fan.
No. I wish we had a longer review, more to say here, but we just don't. I don't. It's well shot. It looks fine. It's just
the acting.
These characters, the decisions, they just don't work. They just don't work for me. They don't work for her. Fans out there, cool. I'm glad you enjoy it. I really do. This is just a failure of a Texas Chainsaw movie, and just adds to the bizarreness of this franchise. Like, there's so many timelines, and there's some, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in here. Like, is this supposed to be, like, is part 2, like, are any of the part 2s part of this one? Or is this I feel like every fucking movie outside of those, the remake and the remake sequel, are all sequels or prequels to the first movie, and disregard every other film in the franchise.
Yes, and that's super frustrating.
It's
because
super
I think that
weird.
this is something that you, like, this franchise, you could definitely world build and explore a lot of different, like, stories with different characters within the family, and that just doesn't really happen. So it's okay. I mean,
it's not okay.
I mean, it's not okay, but it's okay because there's movies that I enjoy in the franchise quite a bit. So, like 2.
We get a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film next year on Netflix.
And it's a sequel?
I think, yeah. I think it ignores everything but the first.
Yay!
It's fucking unreal. This franchise just can't seem to stick
kick off
that second movie. Yeah. I mean, I love the second one. I wish they would just went from there.
Same. Yeah.
But, I mean, Leatherface is clearly fucking dead at the end of the second one. I mean, he has a chainsaw completely through him, revving on the other side. But if they said he survived it, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Michael Myers survived worse.
Oh my god, yeah. I would just be
like,
okay.
Just Bud's back. You know? I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I'm done.
Me too.
Time to play Apex. Bye.
Bye.